Boom, 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 boom. I hear you loud and proud. Thank you for your presence. I'm grateful for you. And we are 1 minute into the broadcast and we are loud and proud. I am here just doing it off the cuff. This is what we always do. I'm grateful for you. Thank you for letting us know about the audio. Alicia in the live chat and Anne McVeigh. I'm grateful for each and every single one of you. The wild magi, you are appreciated. If you're watching this in a recording and you made it through those first 60 seconds of pure silence, then maybe it's an omen. It's an omen for what we have got the opportunity to do for ourselves, because Gemini, which is the full moon we're going to be focusing on today, is all about the chitter chatter. It's all about this and it's all about that. It's about bringing the two hemispheres of our brain into togetherness, into the singularity of our own being. Because when we're in this and that, we can actually be basing things off information which makes us feel inferior. And the mind, it can run through 1,000 million times a minute different pieces of information. It really can. But when we're dealing with different pieces of information, we're dealing with earworms, we're dealing with different ideas, and it's actually our own mindfulness, our own completeness, our own wholeness, which is the most important and powerful place to be. So thank you for being centered. Thank you for recognizing that you are the center of creation. You are the great diplomacy. You are the great master. You are the great love. You are the heart of glass. Thank you for recognizing that all is atom and we are here present. We are atomic with love. I'm not going to be quoting Blondie songs for the rest of the broadcast, but I'm grateful for your presence. I see you in the live chat, Lily and Tony. I even see you, Musa Alchemy. Thank you for your presence. You are super appreciated. Today, we're going to be talking about the solstice backwards, because that is the 21st of December, and that is actually when we have the Capricorn, but we ain't done with autumn yet, because right now, in this present moment, we're building towards a Gemini full moon, and this means it's the end of the Sagittarius season. And that full moon will be when the sun is at the galactic center point at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, with the moon 180 degrees across the way at 27 degrees of Gemini. At that point, we're also going to have Mercury at the very position that Venus is going to be retrogressing back to. Oh, the poetry in motion within our sky, within ourselves. We are poetry beings. We are beautiful beings of sequence, beautiful beings of love. And so what we are coming into the opportunity to do is to see how we piece together these different information, how we weave between this and that, and we come into the singularity. We are each the singularity within this point. And so we focus on the information and we funnel it through our hearts. We focus on all the messengers and recognize that we are the messenger of the gods. Thank you for your presence. We're going to be talking about a whole lot of information, and I'm grateful for you. I see you in the live chat, Experimental, Elemental, and Brittany Bowen. You're all deeply appreciated. But if you would actually really want to get personal, because we're here to witness ourselves, if you would like a consultation of me, we've got 30% off for an end of year sale at the moment, and you can purchase your own one-on-one session of me by following the links in the description box below. I've only got 3 dates available for the end of this year. However, I have opened up a few dates for January, and so you can book your consultation now. I am available to connect with you. All consultations take place one-on-one with you and I together on Zoom Messenger, and everything I share about your own natal chart, which is all the planets, all the placements, and every single transit through 2022 in application to your chart, shall be recorded. The whole interaction between you and I shall be recorded, and you'll receive a copy of that for your continual review throughout the year, so you can see how far you're coming through the end of this Venus retrograde, so you can see what it's like for your transit of Jupiter going all the way through Pisces into Aries and back into Pisces. Not only that, we're going to see what the nodes flipping into the signs of Scorpio and Taurus are like as well in application to your own natal chart. There's so much going on, and it is about you recognizing that you are good enough. You're exactly where you're meant to be, and in fact, you're able to make use of all of the energies available to you in application to your own natal chart. All you need to do is follow the links in the description box below, and I'll be very happy to connect with you. It's what I do. It's my thing, isn't it? It's my craft, and it's your craft too. 360 degrees all around. That's your natal chart. It's a unique natal chart, and nobody can replicate what you have to offer to this world. You truly matter. You're distinctive, and you are here to create your heart's vision, and I'm here just to empower you to that. I had some feedback the other day from somebody, and they said, my goodness gosh, Philip, I'm so grateful for you empowering me to start my own initiative. I started my own company thanks to you and your consultation that we shared. For me to receive such feedback, well, it means the world to me. And so what we're here to is to recognize that we are able to follow our passions and to make a life out of it. I've done exactly that. As an astrologer, I followed my heart, and now I'm working within financial freedom because I do what I love, and you are here to do no less. And so through, and we'll be able to share that connection, and I will empower you to your greatest year yet. Right, other than that, we're going to go into the astrology right now. We're going to be bringing up the chart for this current period all the way through these last couple of days, these last couple of days of the autumnal period, including this Gemini full moon, including Chiron, the wounded healer, the maverick, the centaur in Aries, stationing direct after having been retrograde for the past 5 months, as well as Venus, which is also slowing on down at the very end of Capricorn. It's going to station retrograde the same time as Chiron stations direct. So without further ado, let's get this show on the world. You are each appreciated. Intending that you're finding yourself within gracious moments. These are fairly intense times, right? Yeah, they have been intense moments for us. And so this is an opportunity for us to make the most of our experiences. I've had a whole load of technical differences within my experiences these past couple of days because I have had to reformat my whole computer just to be able to do this broadcast. The patience which was required for such a thing, for such an endeavor, right? So you can see that I'm still finding that I'm having to work with a lot of different technical things, i.e. the first minute of the audio not working, me having to learn how to use this new browser because I was using Brave and now I'm using Firefox. Let's try again, shall we? I'm going to see if I can share, and I want to share my whole screen. Select the window or the whole screen. Now I'd like to share my astrology program. Thank you very much. Solar Fire. Thank you very much. Let's see about that. I appreciate your patience. You know it's worth it. You know if you're sticking around, it's always worth it with me because I don't hold back. I will show you exactly what we need to be seen for every single transit and all the energies applied. And so how do I do this? I think I'll share my entire screen. There's nothing more I can do. Here we go. Allow. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the live chat, Miss Midnight Raven and Dark NSE. Here we go. So you can see now that I'm sharing my entire screen. And now let me get this chart. Here we go. Boom. So this is the current sky. And we've got the sun at 24 degrees of Sagittarius. And this is actually the nakshatra of Mula from 23 to about 11 degrees of Sagittarius. And we have Mars in a conjunction with Ketu, the South Node. It's been there for the past couple of days, helping us untangle some of our old, outdated belief systems to also rise from the ashes of what was a whole load of endings through this, through all of the Scorpio transits which we've had over the past couple of months. And so there's also the lockdowns rising from the ashes, aren't there? I mean, I spoke to Sol Johansson, very great astrologer, who's in Norway. She said Norway went into lockdown 48 hours ago. What's been going on in your country and constituencies? I would love to hear. I can't see the live chat, so I don't know what you're going to be saying. However, I will read them in the recordings. We can see that the moon is actually exalted here. It's in its favourite sign of Taurus, and it's waxing into a full moon. We also have a trine waxing from the moon in Venus's sign to Pluto and Venus, which is pretty much stationed at 26 degrees of Capricorn, Pluto at 25 degrees of Capricorn. So we also have a square which is building right now between the moon And Jupiter, which is spending its last 10 days or so, a little bit more, 13 days we've got of Jupiter left in Aquarius, which means it's 13 days left of the great conjunction that we have had all year long, pretty much, apart from when Jupiter went into Pisces. I, in my natal chart readings, use an orb of about 6 degrees for a conjunction. However, in ancient Babylonian astrology, they would say that when two planets are within the same sign of 30 degrees, they are within a conjunction. And it was last year on the winter solstice that we had the meeting of Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius for the first time in many years. It actually was the beginning of the it's 800 years, because it was the beginning of the air trigons. Although Saturn and Jupiter met in Libra in 1980, they actually met again in Taurus in the year 2000. And so this was actually the official end of the earthy trigons, which gave us our industrial revolution. As you see, it was on December the 17th that Saturn rolled on in for the second ingress into Aquarius. We all know what happened on the first ingress into Aquarius, because that was when the world went on lockdown, March 2020. However, they was preparing for this, because this was a spiritual revolution which we were going to have of the great conjunction of Jupiter overtaking Saturn on the winter solstice. Here it is in 2020. And so the distractions from spiritual liberation and revolution, Saturn and Jupiter meeting 0 degrees of Aquarius, was what was this whole fake virus, coronavirus, pandemic, was basically to renormalize control, segregation, separation, and division. And what has happened in the past year has been this continual rollout of rules and regulations, whether it's through social media, whether it's through your governments, whether it's by the corporations that ask you to do different things that limit us as we enter their domain, as we go into the shopping centres, as we go into the Starbucks. If you go into a Starbucks, that is, then we've had all of these different rules and regulations taking place. And so a whole year later, we've all had an opportunity to grow in compassion for ourselves and one another. Because even through division, we are recognizing that there is the opportunity to connect. And yeah, it's really hard to connect when people have got their mouths covered. It's like, are they smiling, or are they really scared to see me today? Because I ain't wearing a mask all the time. And so these are the different things that are going on. I'm talking about my personal experiences, and I'm sure some of you relate and some of you may not. And that's okay. But there is the opportunity to go beyond disrelation and separation and still find compassion. And this has been our greatest challenge. And yet it's going to continue throughout 2022. We're going to find that with Jupiter rolling back into Pisces and making a conjunction with Neptune as we move through that year, that we're going to have many opportunities for us to figure out. And if you listen to the word fig, my dear friend and colleague Santos Bonacci taught me that fig is that Figaro. What does a fig do? You open up a fig. You open up to the fruit of life. You figure it out by opening up and accepting a trust. And a trust is about our self-worth. It's about our own accountability. It's about our own value. And so now, with Venus stationing direct at 26 degrees of Capricorn in a conjunction with Pluto, we are finding that we are able to come back into terms with what's been going on. We're able to come into some kind of equality. And the finest quality is equality. It's a frequency of love, accountability, and trust. And so this is what we're finding the opportunity to do, is release any outdated information, any outdated belief systems, as we see the end of K2 transit through Sagittarius with this full moon in Gemini. It's about discernment, and it's about coming into our greatest leadership, which is turning old stories, old outdated patriarchal stories into some kind of equality between patriarchy and matriarchy, like internal and external. We are here to recognize that we're growing out of some of the belief systems that don't serve us anymore. And we've got a couple of bits to run through. And so, as we move towards this full moon, tomorrow, we have the moon ingress into Gemini. And, you know, it's carrying a whole lot of weight. 'Tis that moon. And yet, when we put down the heaviness, When we let go of the WEIGHT, we don't have to wait WAIT for our manifestations so much. It is a great opportunity for us to let go of the pressure when we find that we feel into the energy that has been most stagnant for us. Any roadblocks can be considered a rite of passage. Anything that may feel like it's a no can be used as an apparatus to say, yes, I can, yes, I am able, and yes, I'm distinguished enough to be able to let go of any falsehoods of separation and come into the opportunity to recognize that I am good enough. Not only am I good enough, but I am that I am. I'm a courageous individual. I'm a warrior spirit. We are the centaurs. We are the center of our own creation, and this is true empowerment. And so we keep on moving, and we're going to find that by the 17th, which is Friday, Venus's day, we're going to be finding that this moon is waxing a trooper. It's actually tomorrow that it opposes Mars when it's with Rahu at the beginning of Gemini. And so by Friday, we're going to be finding that it's going to be square Saturn, it's trining Saturn, waxing into the full moon, which takes place on the 18th. And this full moon is actually happening while Mercury, which rules Gemini, is at 8 degrees of Capricorn. And it's in a square to Chiron, which is stationed direct. And so in Capricorn, which is cardinal Earth, we have a 90-degree square to Mars's sign of Aries, which is where Chiron is stationed direct. At the same time, in Capricorn, we have Venus stationed retrograde. So let's work this out one by one, shall we? First things first. Chiron actually stations direct at 8 degrees of Aries, and it's going to be out of shadow by April the 11th. If we go forward, we can see that Chiron will be coming to 12 degrees and 56 minutes by April, and we move it forward, and you can see here, once it gets to 12 degrees and 56, Chiron will be out of the shadow phase and will be into new territory, as of which Chiron hasn't seen for 52 years. As you can see, that's quite poetic once more, because that will be 120 days from now, where the sun is towards the end of Sagittarius, 120 days, something like that. And so very empowering. We'll see that all of the planets are in new territory by this point, and we've even got a conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune. Both rulers of Pisces, and Venus will be in Pisces, exalted by this time. And so that's like the dangled carrot. That's where we're heading to with regards to Chiron. Now, let's bring it back to the present. And we're going to see also that this Venus stations retrograde the same time as Chiron is stationed direct. And so, as we have had many broadcasts already talk about this Venus retrograde, we're going to see that it actually goes back for 40 days and 40 nights. And it's actually on Christmas Day that we have the second conjunction with Pluto. And that's the 25th of December. So Venus is traveling back to 11 degrees of Capricorn, which is where we have the new moon in Capricorn on the 2nd of January. And it will be on the 28th, 29th, or depending where you are, obviously, in the world, when Venus stations direct at 11 degrees of Capricorn, as you can see here. And this is in the dark phase of that Capricorn moon, almost. And so what we'll see then is that it will be that Mars, which is exalted in Capricorn, as you can see, joins Venus. And through the beginning of the transit of Venus in Capricorn, Mars was back in Scorpio, making a perfect sextile for about 6 weeks. Well, it's about 4 or 5 weeks, until they broke free recently, about a week ago. And so it will be that then Mars will join up with Venus, as Venus is hardly moving. Mars, which moves traditionally more slowly than Venus, will travel with Venus together until they meet their conjunction with Pluto on the 6th. Well, actually, it's on the 2nd of March. There we go. And that's when Venus comes out of shadow on the 2nd of March. And then they have a triple conjunction going through afterwards. And then what's amusing, I feel, is on the 6th of March, just where Saturn and Jupiter met, as you just saw me do on the broadcast, on the winter solstice 2020. We have a Venus-Mars conjunction, and that takes place on the 6th of March, 7th of March, depends where you are. And Venus will then overtake Mars as it continues to pick up the pace as per usual. And so that brings us up to date with regards to the station direct of Chiron and the station retrograde of Venus. Okay, so let's come back to what will be the present, if you will. And we have this full moon, don't we? The full moon at 27 degrees of Gemini, opposite the sun at the galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. Now, this is quite a big deal, right? Because we are looking at how we've had to be discerning with so much information. And if they have started to do lockdowns and release different, I say they, the governments, the corporations, are making the most of the energy available, while Jupiter and Saturn are still together in Aquarius, which is the syndicate, the spheres of influence, the corporations and state, but it's also the communities. You and I, it's our communities, whether it's online or in our local spheres of influence, like down the farmers market, or when you go and you create a yoga studio, any kind of network which is non-local. And that is Aquarius energy. As you see, this full moon at 27 degrees of Gemini is in a almost perfect harmonic trine to Jupiter, which actually leaves on the 28th, leaves Aquarius on the 28th of December, as you see, before we get to the new moon in Capricorn. It's actually the 28th of December, 29th of December, depending where you are. And then it will make its second ingress into Pisces like it did in the spring. And so what we're doing is we're looking at this adaptation. How much have we changed since Jupiter last made ingress into Pisces? There's plenty of change that has been taking place. Remember, Pisces is a mutable energy, as is this full moon in the mutable energy. Gemini is the end of spring. Sagittarius is the end of autumn, depending on where you are in the world, obviously seasonally speaking. But either way, these are mutable signs. This is about change. And so how can we alter our direction? How can we recognize that we are the alternative? We're the alternative. And Aquarius is all about radical, against the grain. This has never been done before. How dare we lead in a direction that's never been done before? But that's alchemy. That's how we turn external leadership from another, which might necessarily not be for us, into our own golden leadership. It's turning lead into gold. And if you can remember, when I have been doing these broadcasts since 2018 with Lada, we were speaking about how before the ingress of Saturn and Jupiter, there was a triple conjunction of Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter at the end of Capricorn. I will have to show you guys so that you can see. It was actually, as you know, just over a year ago that this was taking place. If we go back a month, here we go. We can see that they were actually all together within 6 degrees of Capricorn, November 2020. And it was 735 years prior, in the year 1284, the last time that they were all in Capricorn. Let's see if we can get that chart up there. See, 1284, if we go forward a month, the winter solstice 1284. Look at that for a whopper of a stellium on the winter solstice. It was actually a full moon in Cancer, that was. And so, let's just have a look at it. Full moon eclipse in Cancer. We had Rahu, which is the direction. The direction was to funnel everything into this box. And we also had this Jupiter in a conjunction with the Sun, Mars, and Venus retrograde, like it is going to be for this winter solstice, as well as Pluto at the same degree as where it's at now, and Saturn in their conjunction, like they were on December the 12th, 2020, the day that they named Wuhan. I wonder what else is in Wuhan, apart from the outbreak of the supposed virus. Oh, that's it. a human trafficking Walmart warehouse. Oh, okay. And Mercury also there in Capricorn. And so that was a whopping stellium, and it was in the year 1284, and that was the last time, 735 years prior to 2020. And so what we're looking at is something quite, in a sense, biblical, because time is a cycle, time is a loop, and we've just seen a repeat of what was taking place then. This was a full moon, and what was being let go of, moon K2, south node, was all of our interior guidance system, how we trust our guts, our connection to the matriarchy, our connection to our family. We're looking to follow governmental systems, and this would have taken centuries to really apprehend, to implement, for us to lose our connection to the land, to lose our connection to our tummies, to our navel. And the navy is really how you steer the ship. Your body is a Merkaba, and you're a spirit incarnate into the flesh, Chiron. And the way that we guide ourselves is actually by listening to our guts, listening to our feelings, rather than listening and basing our information on, basing our instincts on the information that's presented to us externally. That's inferior. That's electricity. Magnetics is based off water. Interior guidance system. That is our greatest guide. Trust your guts. It takes guts to have courage. And so this is very, very important for us to recognize what we've been through so that we know where we are going. And so that is very much what I've got to share about that. Now let's get back to the full moon so we can piece this back together and format where we are. Okay, 27 degrees of Gemini. 180 degrees opposite the galactic center, we have this full moon. And so now you've got that information about how we've had the hysteria presented to us through the media and the governments over these past year or more. It's almost 2 years, isn't it, since this all broke out. And once the cat's out the bag, you can't get it back in. And so right now we have the opportunity to come together in our hearts, to come together as the salvation. And sometimes salvation comes from shedding tears, from letting go of old stories. And it is through those old stories, Venus retrograde in Capricorn, that we find the greatest fertile energy to recreate. Because life is a recreational experience. You don't get additional Lego bricks from outside. They all come from within. You and I, we've got all of the interior contents, all of the gusto, all of the good stuff within us, because you and I, we're the source. And so when we honor ourselves and one another as our equals, we can find that we are all working in a different space and time, but sharing this earth plane, sharing this space. And yet, externally, the mere Maya is an illusion. It's a reflection. The derma, the skin, Capricorn, is our opportunity to see that while we're working within these vessels, we're the agents of change. Yes, the Matrix movie comes out a couple of days after this, on the 22nd of December. And this is the womb. This is our space. This is our garden. And so with Venus retrograde in a conjunction with Pluto in Capricorn, we're going to find that as we disengage, as we let go of any of these tears, as some of the tears roll down our cheeks, those salty tears are our route to salvation. Because whatever we disengage from, whatever we disconnect from, all of these old outdated stories like I'm scared, I feel inferior, I feel small and less than, I need to be led by some kind of government or some kind of cheerleader. These things can be disempowering. And so when we find that those disempowering ideas, thoughts and feelings can be recreated and established into something which has got a greater strength, a greater stronghold, we can bring down anything that's topsy-turvy like the tower, because it's not sustainable. And many people may choose otherwise, because people may not have felt that they were able to move towards a spiritual path. Doesn't mean that they're not beautiful beings. It doesn't mean that there are enemies. Oh no enemies. I don't believe in it. I don't even believe that these corporations or these oligarchs or these different people like the Bill Gateses or the Elon Musks or the Peter Thiels. They were lost. They were abused. We can find the greatest compassion in our hearts for all if we can recognize ourselves in the same eye, in the same ilk, because all is whole. All is family, brothers and sisters. We are here to recognize healing compassion for ourselves and for one another. And so we can find that when we make it through this winter, it's like a birth canal. We can see that Venus will be retrograde for 40 days and 40 nights. And it was Christ in the biblical story that went into the cave, or even Brahman that went into the pineal gland and really came out with a greater crystallization of the consciousness. So we can see that from this point of this full moon, this is 40 days and 40 nights of meditation and hard labors of love. And it's this hard work, laboring with love, that brings us to the solution, that brings us to this salvation, that brings us to this revolution. And now there's one more thing I've got to share with you before I stop sharing this screen. Look at Saturn, 10 degrees of Aquarius, still in a shadow phase. It went retrograde at 13, almost 14 degrees of Aquarius, and it shall be out of shadow by the middle of January. So less than a month, we're going to have Saturn in new territory, reformatting, restructuring, and there's going to be a whole new load of rules and regulations that come with that. But this is Saturn making a 90-degree square to Uranus on Christmas Eve, the 24th of December. And the very interesting thing about this is that actually it's a closing square from Saturn to Uranus. And this is a cycle which started out 33 years ago. And let's just take one more trip down memory lane so we can look at that, where it initiated, okay? And so I'm just putting out all the information I've got to you. I didn't plan it, but here we go. It was actually a couple of years after my birth, back here in 1988. Let's bring it back. It's actually right here. They went, I've got to bring it back a couple of months here, and then we're going to have it exact. You can see almost where the sun is for this full moon, that we had the conjunction of Uranus and Saturn at 28 degrees of Sagittarius, just next to the galactic center. And this was just like a new moon. Any conjunction is the beginning of a cycle between two planets. And this is a 44-year cycle. And so now we have actually, well, it was in the year 2000 that we had the opening square. And let's just have a look what was going on then. We all know that was like just before 9/11, right? And the opening square took place in the same signs, except for their swaps. Uranus was at home in Aquarius and Saturn was in Taurus. If we actually go back a couple of months, you can see that they were square almost at exactly the same degrees of that which they are this year. Here we go. You can see it here, in the middle of the signs. There you go. Saturn at 12 degrees. Moving it back a bit, you can see that they had their square. And so this keep on moving, and you see that they made an opposition. They made their opposition in the signs of Libra and Aries, if I am correct. Let's see Uranus go into Aries. Actually, it was, pardon my lips, they actually had an opposition in Libra and Aries, but they first had an opposition here in the mutable energy of Virgo and Pisces. And then they continued on their merry way. And it would have been that they edged in and out of the cardinal here, as you see. And we had that. Actually, excuse me, shoot the messenger with all of this different information. It was the great opposition of Saturn and Jupiter, which happened in the cardinal. Regardless, this focus on Saturn and Jupiter, they had their opposition. What year was that? Let's just go back. Opposition from Saturn in Virgo to Uranus in Pisces in 2009. And this was obviously with the year 2001, that was like the birth of the internet. And yet things have become more local, if you will, with regards to things since 2009. You know, Amazon, it was becoming the norm, wasn't it, to be able to get the things from the local internet providers. You could just stay at home, almost a bit like how it was being set up for now. Because this is a great planned situation, isn't it, all across the land that we're dealing with now. but we didn't see it coming. Who did? I mean, as astrologers, we started talking about it, and there were astrologers speaking about it way before I was, but I did my first report on it in 2018. But we can see that we knew that something was going to happen. We didn't know that they were going to fake the common cold being something that you needed to be scared of. And yet that's what we've been dealing with. And so this bring it back to this present, and we see, yeah, we had that great conjunction a year ago, but now we're recognizing that we've got this full moon in Gemini with a closing square from the cycle that began 33 years ago, which means that in 11 years they're going to meet, Saturn and Uranus. And the beautiful poetry, as with astrology, as mentioned, is that they actually meet here opposite where the last conjunction was seeded. As you can see, it's actually where this full moon is. They meet, if we go back, obviously they can see they meet at the end of Cancer there, but they meet at 28 degrees of Gemini, 180 degrees across the way from where they met in 1988. It's a 44-year cycle. And yet there's an agenda for transhumanism. The agenda is called 2130. This conjunction takes place 2 years after that. Will the corporations and governments have made their plan a reality? Or will there be two constituencies? Will you and I step up and dial it on in to our heart center and create alternatives? Because this is Gemini, this and that. There's the city, and then there's maybe a community which is more organic, more holistic, maybe in tune with the frequencies within, maybe recognizing even if there has been a alteration to the DNA with nanotechnology, micro soft wars that's been taking place since 2020, moving through this year into next year. Or there's even a way to heal that. Nobody's late. You're right here, right on time. And we've got enough compassion within our hearts to find that all of our brothers and sisters are here together under the banner of humanity. And yet it might be painful. It might be that we have to deal with these separations and recognize that there's a new challenge for humanity, like the likes of which we've never seen before. And so this is our experience. That is my rundown of events. And through the horoscopes, we're going to make it a little bit more ear friendly. We're going to make it more personal for what it might be like in your personal lives. This has been the collective astrology. This has been what it's like for us as humanity. It's very important at this junction. At this junction, we have got this and that, and you're not going to get this information on the television, which is why we provide it here. And I'm no expert, no more so than you. I'm great at astrology. I don't watch the news because I'm the anchor of a frequency that speaks to myself every single day, saying, I am good enough. I am that love, that which I need not seek. Because when we found our love within ourselves, we recognize that we're good enough. I'm just going to read to you. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to read to you my affirmations for the day, just to give you an example of the way that I choose to speak to myself, because you are good enough, and I'm sure you do it too. So thank you for sticking around. We're going to be pulling some tarot cards in just a minute. If you want to book your own personal consultation with me, you can do so via all of the links in the description box below. It's great to see you in the chat again, Poppy B and Christina Connolly and Celeste Gray. I'm grateful for each and every single one of you. I've had consultations with a couple of you there. I've got a feedback for a testimonial from a very happy client that says, my reading with Philip was something else. I think he's a channel. We're all channels, streaming consciousness straight through the centaur of our being. I love the way he uses language, metaphor, and story. He has helped me to understand my natal chart, gifts, and soul potential in a way that only serves ascension. If you're serious about moving beyond that which lowers you, he is the astrological counselor for you. Philip is truly gifted, well worth every penny, cent, dollar, whatever it is, where your current is. Your true value is coming from within. Thank you, Philip. And you can take advantage of the 30% discount that's available until the end of this year by following the links in the description box below. I'll send you a link to my calendar and you can choose the appointment that suits you best. And we'll meet together on Zoom for your recorded one-on-one consultation and interaction. At the end of the day, I'm just here to drive the taxi. You tell me where you want to go and I'll provide you with chart elections. I'll provide you with astrocartography. I can provide you with your relationship divination and composite charts. I'm here to serve you, and I've got a whole load of tricks up my sleeves. I'm here to empower you and to reinstate the trust and accountability into yourself, because you've got all the frequencies, all the planets inside of you, and I'm just a reflection showing you that you are able and you are very, very worthy. And now you stick around. Just because I'm going to go off piste and read a bit of my affirmations as an example doesn't mean you have to leave the video, because we're going to go through all of the tarot horoscopes for each of the 12 signs. I appreciate each and every single one of you. You are magnificent and each of you are irreplaceable. No matter how many different moments that we have of inferiority, there's always the love to come to. And so I wrote this. I'm not being egotistical, I'm being an example. I am grateful for these moments as I take the reins, settling into my experience as the storyteller. I am empowered to my greatest version. Breathe, breath and acceptance open up key frequencies as sound supportive vibrations. I am courageous, good enough and able to love myself throughout all my moments. I am continuously thankful for all the abundance flowing through me. As I show up, the universe responds, reflecting the love that I am, returning back to me all the energy that I am contributing. I am creating total financial success in an easy and relaxing manner by activating joy in my day-to-day practices. This is my practice, right here now, being with you, sharing presence, and I'm grateful for you. May I continue to trust the process of being present within the current flow, here, now. I have cultivated the life of my dreams, sharing experiences with beings I love, whom also love me. Streaming within prosperity, I am open as the source of grace and fortune. So be it, and so it shall be. That's just an example. Thank you for your presence, Robin Evans. Rochelle, I had a consultation with you the other day, all the way over there in Australia. I'm grateful for each and every single one of you. Aurora Fire, you're all brilliant. Tony, you're brilliant. Thank you for your presence. Right, now without further ado, I'm going to get into these tarot horoscopes for each and every single one of you using my Robin Wood tarot deck. Very nice it is. I got it in the Astrology shop in London about a month ago. And so, yeah, I'll say this one more time. If you would like a consultation with me, just follow the links in the description box below. Take advantage of that 30% discount. It's there for you. Okay? Right. First of all, I love you guys. You're so amusing and supportive. Thank you for your presence. Right, so here we go. Gemini, first and foremost, you're ruled by Mercury, aren't you? And so Mercury's transit through Capricorn until the 2nd of January. And Mercury will be at 8 degrees of Capricorn, pretty much where Venus is going to be moving back to. And so there's a real big message of what we're letting go of with regards to this full moon moving into the solstice, with Chiron actually in your 11th house station direct and Venus station retrograde in your 8th house, Gemini. But this is a full moon in your 1st house, and so you're letting go of old identifications. The moon rules your 2nd house of value and worth and your voice box. And so it's like, hey, maybe this has been an opportunity to really open up to the current of your feelings, to mastery of your own emotional prowess. You wouldn't think Gemini like that, would you? Because it's all about the intellect. Yet with Cancer in the 2nd house of the archetype of Gemini, they're most valuable for their ability to honor their emotions. Mind, body, and spirit, the triplicity of Mercury. Goodness gracious, gosh. This full moon at 27 degrees of Gemini offers you the opportunity to let go of any falsehoods, any inferiorities, any old identifications that don't serve you anymore. And the way that you can best do it? Oh, it's through your creativity. It's through honouring your heart space. This is the Five of Swords. And so this is about cultivating the love and expressing it in a message for yourself. Not only do we have the Five of Swords, we've got the Seven of Cups. And so this is about recognizing your emotions, or as well as other people's emotions. How can you creatively share your own opportunity to have compassion for yourself, as well as those that are reflecting back to you a truth about your interior world? This is a tremendous opportunity for us to let go of whatever doesn't serve us and honor ourselves moving forward. And it's a bit of a process. Be gentle, be easy with yourself, Gemini. You're magnificent, you're brilliant. Full moon, 27 degrees of your first house, the Five of Swords and the Seven of Cups for Gemini. You are appreciated. Yeah, see in the live chat, G says civil war is upon us. It's a different type of warfare. It was actually in the year of the coronation of Queen Elizabeth, 1953, that they had a piece of paper and documentation, which you can find as well online, that says that they started World War III then, and that was actually a quiet war, a quiet, soft war for silent weapons. And it was, what's that new Call of Duty game called? Anybody, you can let us know, that new Call of Duty game, because obviously they're funneling people into the metaverse. Oh yeah, you saw me mention about the last time that we had the Saturn, Jupiter and Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. That was when they made the narrative of the Pied Piper. The Pied Piper is someone who tells you a story that's so seductive that you listen to the tune of someone else's storytelling. Remember, this is an opportunity to reclaim your narrative. Whatever has impacted upon you can only make you stronger. So you can play to the beat of your own drum so that you can march to the beat of your own heart, right? Very empowering, because actually this is the time that we don't get funneled down a mine shaft. The sky isn't falling, Chicken Little. This is the time when we recognize this is our greatest opportunity. The world now is more opportune for us to thrive than the world that we were born into. Whatever age you are, we were born at these moments to be the change. You are the change. In fact, change is our nature. Change is our nurture. When we recognize that we are Pluto, we are Scorpio, we are Mars, we are Venus retrograde, we're even Saturn, by goodness gosh, we're Uranus, we're the whole gosh darn show. And it's showtime. Next, we got Cancer. This is a full moon at 27 degrees of Gemini in your 12th house of karmic endings. And so it could be a great time to connect spiritually with yourself. Let go of thinking too much and getting caught in the fortress of the mind, and get mindful. Get mindful and come into the central space. I saw a great gentleman called Gay Hendricks once, and he was talking about the mind and the thinking, and thinking stinking, if you ask me. But when you come in to recognize that the mind's a tool, we can be mindful and go, and it's this meditation, this that rattles both hemispheres of the brain on a vibrational scale, bringing us all together in the unified field. That's consciousness for you. So Cancer, when you're dealing with the endings, the karmic endings, it's a bit like the architectural view of the Matrix. It's a bit like being at the back of the cinema and seeing, actually, sometimes things get on the projector screen. What are we projecting out? All comes from within. And if we recognize ourselves as the altar native, we can recognize that we're able to change the whole of our projections when we see all the different things, all the different lenses of our perception through that veneer within. And so this is a great opportunity for you, Cancer. Obviously, you're ruled by the moon, so you're always affected by the full moons. And the next new moon will be in your 7th house in Capricorn. We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks, though, won't we? So what we got for you guys is the 5 of Cups, Cancer. And so this is a great opportunity to be very creative with your emotions. Naturally. Oh, naturally, that's your gift. And so this is a brand new emotional beginning for you. You can find that as you let go of anything that doesn't serve you no more through a creative, heartfelt view, you're able to overflow with emotional fortitude. And this means that you can share, as usual, your nurturing, compassionate energy first for yourself, as well as for those around you. This is a full moon at 27 degrees of Gemini in your 12th house, Cancer. And we got the 5 of Cups and the Ace of Cups. Very emotional stuff. I see you there. Hey Yoka, thank you for your presence. Kelly, you're brilliant. Swartz, you're magnificent. Musa Hop, you're brilliant. I appreciate each and every single one of you. I see you, Maya. Thank you for your presence. Next, we got Leo. Well, Leo, you got the sun rolling through, don't you? The sun's rolling through your 5th house, which is Sagittarius. And that's a great time for Leo, isn't it? Obviously, the sun might prefer to be on the top half of the sky. However, in the 5th house, it's your domain. You're the 5th sign. But in Sagittarius, at the galactic center, is where the sun shall be for this full moon, which is 180 degrees across the way in your 11th house. How can you utilize your creativity to bring yourself together with those people in your community? Whether it's online or in your local spheres of influence, this is a tremendous opportunity to connect right now. Letting go of any of the old perceptions, any of the old feelings about groups of people that maybe you might have been holding up within you. How can you find a very creative, heartfelt, wise message? Sagittarius is, again, like Chiron, the centaur. It is about the love of wisdom. It's like how we get up after we've fallen down. It's about going up above and beyond. It's the archer. And so how can you shoot an arrow into the direction of love and wisdom there through your creativity, Leo? I'm sure you've got the ability to do so. That's what you do. It's your thing, isn't it? Oh, we've got a couple of cards as well as whatever's bottom of the pack. So, for the second time today already, we've got the 7 of Cups for Leo. It's about your emotions being reflected by those causing commotions in the world around you. But again, for the second time today, we've got the 5 of Cups. You saw me shuffling, what can I say? This is exactly what we had for Gemini, but Leo has it as well. So this is about utilizing the fact that the sun's in your 5th house through an intellectual stance and finding through the reflections of your own emotions with Saturn and Jupiter in your 7th house. Maybe you can find the opportunity to structure and support yourself in a way which is quite expansive. But what we really want to do is recognize that this Capricornian energy with Venus retrograde in your 6th house is saying, hey, I ain't victim, I'm victorious. I ain't less than, I'm equal. And so this is finding that you're not submitting, you're not tapping out, you're not saying, oh, I'm not good enough, because you're able to find that this Devil card is supreme. This is about you being the author. This is about you being the authority of your own script. You control your own narrative when you come from your heart space and cultivate this emotional recognition for yourself as well as all those around you. Leo! The sun in your 5th house reflecting up against that moon in your 11th house, which is full at 27 degrees of Gemini. We've got the 7 of Cups, we've got the 5 of Swords, and the Devil card. You're worthy, Leo. I'm grateful for you. I see you there in the live chat. Christy, thank you for your presence. Yeah, I'm grateful for you. As well as the Awoken Wolf and One Blessed. You are appreciated. Next, we got Virgo. Well, Virgo, as you know, your ruling planet, Mercury, is actually making its way through Capricorn in your 5th house. We'll be at 8 degrees of Capricorn around this time, squaring Chiron, which stations direct in Aries in your 8th house. So how can you communicate in a creative way with those people that you're in near and dear relationships with, that you identify with? Oh my goodness. Can be a bit disruptive sometimes, challenging. We're up to the challenge. The world, this life, this reality, Mother Earth never presents us with anything that we're not able to deal with. We don't need to bow out. This is our time. It's showtime. And so you can lead with the golden truth. You're the hermeticist, Virgo. How are you harvesting at this time that we have a full moon in your 10th house? Top of the sky for you. This is a great opportunity to release yourself from any old views, maybe old perspectives, maybe how you consider the world sees you. Maybe you're letting go of an old job. Working for someone else can make you feel just over broke sometimes. But when you champion yourself with your own business, with your own arc, with your own story, you can see that you are the capstone. You are actually a force to be reckoned with as you lead from the truth, from the inside out. You illuminate the way. Because why? Virgo, each one of you, we are the way. And so The cards you got, Virgo, well, it's the Hanged Man. Suit you, surrender, and see the illuminations from within as well as all around you. This is a very Piscean card. Very interesting, so it is. Obviously, Jupiter, in, as I said, 13 days from now, as on the 28th of December, rolls back into your 7th house in Pisces. But this is a full moon that we're talking about, Virgo, in your 10th house. Surrender and see how things unfold, because that can bring the greatest of illuminations. But we also got very mercurial, magical magician. You've got all the elements at your disposal. You're not less than. You've got everything. You're fully equipped. This can be a tremendous harvest as you let go of whatever's not for you. You can draw in anything that is meant exactly for your momentum to continue moving through 2022. The Magician and the Hanged Man. The Magician and the Hanged Man. We've got a double major arcana for you, Virgo, for the full moon at 27 degrees of fellow mercurial sign Gemini in your 10th house. Oh my goodness. Brilliant stuff. Worm Mum, I'm grateful for you. You are appreciated. And Salmon Saber, thank you for your presence. I'll see you in the live chat over there as well. SB, you're beautiful. Thank you for being who you are. Next, we got Libra. This is the full moon in your 9th house at 27 degrees of Gemini, while Venus, your ruling planet, is slowing on down to station retrograde at 26 degrees of Capricorn in a conjunction with Pluto for the rest of the year. I'm a Libra ascendant and a Libra moon. It's been a bit intense. Goodness gracious me. But we're facing the music and we're rewriting the script. This is the symphony of our own orchestration. How can you make this narrative work for you? Because these labours of love are our greatest work. This is the great externalization of the work that comes from within. And as we find that we do that love inside of ourselves, we'll find that the manifestations on the external world shift as well. As you know by reflection, you are that gift and you are worthy, Libra. What we got for you is the Three, what's it going to be? The Three of Wands. So this is about honouring your ability to communicate. The sun is actually at 27 degrees of your 3rd house at the galactic centre, opposite the moon in your 9th house. And so this is a tremendous time to share your wisdom, to be an advocate of change, and to hold space for yourself, to speak love gently, considerately to yourself throughout your moments that you identify with. You are activating the joy in your own local arena. The 3rd house, well, Venus, your ruling planet, retrograde here in your 4th house. It's about really meditating on your thoughts, considering your words that you share with others as well as yourself. And so this is very important for you, Libra, with the full moon in your 9th house. You can let go of any old outdated belief systems and let go of anything that's heavy by feeling into a new source. And that source is yourself. It's the original. You are the origins of creation, Libra. 3 of Wands and the 4 of Swords for the full moon, 27 degrees of Gemini in your 9th house. Oh my goodness gracious, gosh. So we've got Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and Taurus to go through. Brilliant stuff. Exciting. I appreciate you. Truth Seeker in the live chat. Thank you for being present. Right, next, Scorpio. Wow, Scorpio, Mars, your ruling planet, is actually at 2 degrees of Sagittarius at the time of this full moon. It's just spent the past couple of days with the South Node itself in Sagittarius. And so this is very important, very powerful times. Your other ruling planet, Pluto, that's right next to Venus, 25 degrees of Capricorn at this time. Very powerful for us to see that we're dealing with many, many, many changes. And that's in your 6th house, right? And so here we go. Excuse me. That's actually in your... It's in your 3rd house. Excuse me. So anyway, Scorpio, this is a full moon which is taking place in your 8th house. Gemini is the 8th house of Scorpio. So this is a very scorpionic style full moon for you, because obviously you are the 8th sign. So you might find that you've got different opinions, different messages, different ideas about those people that you're collaborating with, those people nearest and dearest that you share your energy with, whether it's business, partnership, family, maybe it's your siblings, I don't quite know. Regardless, this is a tremendous opportunity for you to honor your value as well as recognize those others across the way from you. With Mars, your ruling planet in Sagittarius, it's really about owning your worth and standing true within your own voice, and yet also holding this kind of continual diplomacy for those people that you're sharing your energy with. And so, Scorpio, the card which we got for you is the Three of Pentacles. Honoring your value in a practical, grounded way, communicating your worth is what you're here to do. And this is a full moon in your 8th house, and this can be the end of any old outdated ideas, any old complexes. The 10 swords is saying, hey, this is time for new beginnings as we let go any old forms of communication or thinking that don't serve us anymore. And sometimes we have to really hear ourselves in the pitter-patter and exchanges with other people to recognize what we're able to change. Maybe you're just pulling the plug on the TV box that you had a relationship with, or maybe it's just some other dialogue which we're able to recognize that we're able to alter and shift, which changes the consciousness that we're sharing with ourselves and with other people. Maybe it's tough words that you have been sharing or receiving from others that allow you to make these different changes as you recognize and honor your worth as well as those others around you. Full moon for Scorpio at 27 degrees of Gemini in your 8th house. Thank you, Xavier. I'm grateful for you. And reflection. These readings are for the ascendant, the moon, and your sunshine. If you're really smart and you know your chart, you might be able to just do them, take into account every single reading. If you've got no planets in an empty house and apply it, you can find that you've got a reading for every single house in your chart. And that's smart. But if you're just beginning, why don't you just follow your ascendant, your moon, and your sun? Right, next we've got Sagittarius, where the sun is. Happy solar return to you guys. This is the last couple of days of the autumn here in this most centralized part of the plane. And so what we're dealing with is Jupiter, your ruling planet, is actually preparing to make its way out of Aquarius for the final time for 12 years. It shall be making ingress into Pisces on the 28th of December. However, at this point, for this full moon, it's going to be trine to the full moon, and it shall be at 28 degrees of Aquarius in your 3rd house. And so this is about lots of different information, lots of different organizations. You might see things from a bird's eye view, Sagittarius. You might feel that you've got higher ground. And so when you come into yourself, it's not about height, it's not about the depths, it's actually just about being in the central space within yourself. You don't need me to reflect that to you though, do you? And so here we go. The full moon actually in your 7th house is all about reflections. It's all about seeing ourselves through the eyes of another. And this is a tremendous opportunity for us to recognize ourselves. Okay, and so now the 2 cards which we come out for Sagittarius, let me just check what's going on here. The 2 cards we got for you is the Death card, which is massive change taking place, and the 2 of Swords, the 2 of Wands. This is the activation of change, activation of very valuable change. Venus is actually going to be stationed retrograde at this time in your 2nd house with Pluto. And so this is about honoring your voice, honoring your worth, and letting go of any of these outdated perspectives which we project or feel are projected upon us. 3 of Swords, which is obviously to do with the fact that we got the full moon in your 7th house. This is a very Libran card. So we've got the 3 of Swords, the 2 of Wands, and the Death card for Sagittarius. Now, I've got to speed this up because I've got to get out of here pretty snappy. I've got an appointment at 7:30 and it's 22 the hour. So I've got probably about 15 minutes to see if I can wrap this puppy up. Next, we got Capricorn. Capricorn, your ruling planet Saturn is transit through your 2nd house at 10 degrees of Aquarius in a square to Uranus at this time in your 5th house. And so, hey, how do you find that you're able to package your own creativity into a format which gives you longevity moving forward? Maybe you're doing it in your community, maybe you're doing it online. Who knows? You are the boss. You choose. Regardless, Pluto and Venus are together in your 1st house, Venus station retrograde at this time, with the full moon taking place in your 6th house of day-to-day rituals and routines, as well as your inner monologue. And so this can be an opportunity for you to own your well-being, your health, as you let go of any of the old, outdated information that doesn't serve you anymore, and you come into the organic nature of who You are here to be. And so this is very empowering for you. We've got the Knight of Wands, and this is a fiery integrity, which you've got an inspiration to be within your own mastery. And again, we've got the Ten of Swords. Again, it's about letting go of this false information, letting go of any old outdated rapports or spiel which you would share with yourself. The sixth house is about how we speak to ourselves. And so how can you find that you're able to have better mental health, better well-being, better ideas, better communication? It's about being within your own inspiration. Just keep working, keep being within your own fortuitous moments. With Venus retrograde in your first house for the first time since the past 8 years, you know, it's a great time for you to really connect with what you're here to do, and you've done enough. All we need to do is show up. All we need to do is be present and work with each moment as they roll. Okay, Aquarius, this is a full moon for you in your fifth house, fellow Aries sign of Gemini, with a trine back to Jupiter in your first house. The last couple of weeks of it. Make the most of Jupiter in your first house there, Aquarius. And we also have Saturn, your ruling planet, in the first house, as well as Uranus in Taurus, squaring Saturn. Uranus is obviously your modern day chart ruler. It's a retrograde in Taurus at the bottom of your sky in your fourth house. And so the full moon in your fifth house offers you to maybe finish a creative project. Maybe you're completing something that was to do with your heart's message. Maybe you're coming out with new information about what you've been working on in your sphere of influence in some way, shape or form. This is a tremendous time of completion, with Jupiter finishing up its transit through your first house. And so you don't have to go out seeking for things when you are the source. We've got the Queen of Swords. You are the information. You are the resourceful one. And so this is about just owning it and being within that frequency because you're worthy. We also got the Seven of Swords. Lots of swords for you. There's a lot of airy energy going on. And it's a great time for us to get out of our mind and come into our heart space through some kind of reflective intellect, bringing it to the heart. The Queen is in the heart space and can cut across in any direction because it's magnetic. This Queen is magnetic. So you can use all the airs and graces to your abilities in reflection to all of the information that's available to you at this time through a very creative manner. Full moon in your fifth house at 27 degrees of Gemini. We've got the Queen of Swords and the Seven of Swords for Aquarius. I'm grateful for you, Esther. Thank you for your presence. Next, we got Pisces. Well, Pisces, your ruling planet, spending the last few days in your 12th house. It's going to be returning. It's coming back. It's coming back for you into your first house, says that Jupiter. But at this time, it will be at 28 degrees of Gemini, of Aquarius in that 12th house, in a trine to the full moon in Gemini at 27 degrees of your fourth house. And so how can you find the opportunity to nurture yourself with all the information that's on the table? It can be a bit of a quagmire, right? How can you find to come into the balm of your own loving spaces through these moments now? Interesting, so it shall be. Saturn's not going anywhere, staying in your 12th house, but this is about finding that you are able to lead with the change that you would most like others to see. And that's the greatest message. Yes, see? We've got the Hermit for Pisces, as well as the very reflective, the very beautiful Two of Cups. So there you go. This is Chiron stationed direct in your second house of Aries. We've got the Two of Cups and the Hermeticist, the Hermit, for Pisces for the full moon in your fourth house at 27 degrees. There you go, of Gemini. Okay. So we've got two more to do. Aries and Taurus. First of all, Aries, you do have Chiron stationed direct at 8 degrees of your first house, with your ruling planet Mars, with the south node Ketu in your 9th house of Sagittarius, which is also where the sun is, at the galactic center. And so this is a full moon in your 3rd house at 27 degrees of Gemini, with Venus stationed retrograde in your 10th house in a conjunction with Pluto. And so this is about a brand new beginning, a brand new identification with your intellect, with your connection, with how you communicate. And it's about you honoring this Ace of Swords. It's about you recognizing that you're able to let go of any old way of speaking or thinking that doesn't serve you anymore. We do have also the Death card, massive change. It's either change or be changed. And you are the change at which you choose when you find that you can't be shortchanged by being the activation of your own graces. You are worthy. Gemini. Oh, excuse me, Aries. Thank you for being you. We got the Ace of Swords and the Death card. Thank you for your presence there, Catherine. I'm your oldest son's doppelganger. Very cool. Right, lastly, certainly not leastly, we got Taurus. And yeah, your ruling planet Venus is stationed retrograde in your ninth house in a conjunction with Pluto at this time. And so this is about letting go of any of the old belief systems that may have been set into stone. And it's through our emotions that we can wash away. It's actually that emotions, the water, will flow through a mountain. It cuts estuaries through the stuff. And so it's very important that we do honor our emotions. Remember when we went back 735 years ago? There was this kind of letting go of the importance of our guts and our feelings. But now it's no time to be stoic. It's a great time for us to use our emotions, not only as a guide, but to set us free as the root of our greatest salvation. And yet you're honoring your value there, Taurus, is the greatest thing you can possibly do. The full moon taking place in Gemini, which is actually your second house. You're all about that kind of stuff. You're the second sign. And so this is a tremendous opportunity to honor your voice. Tremendous opportunity for you to speak out and to honor your frequency. We got the 5 of Cups. So this is about finding a very creative way to express your emotions. It's just what I said, isn't it? You are the great creator. And so this is a very powerful time for you. And we also have the 4 of Wands. As you nurture yourself from the ground up, you are supported. Support yourself and you'll find that others will support you too. We're all family. This is our space. This is our garden. Taurus, practically create the expression of your emotions with this full moon in your second house at 27 degrees of Gemini. We have the 5 of Cups and the 4 of Wands. You're worthy, and I appreciate you, Taurus. I appreciate each and every single one of you. You're a fantastic bunch of beings. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Thank you for showing up and being within the present. Thank you for streaming consciously through your heart. You are the narrative creator. You are the authority, and it's your authorization of your story which truly counts. So count yourself included. If you want a personal consultation with me, I'm here to reflect that kind of love. I'm here to reflect and instate that kind of frequency. All you need to do is follow the links in the description box below. I'm here to serve you. That's what I do. Intending you have a fantastic full moon in Gemini, Chiron station direct, and Venus station retrograde as we move into the winter. Winter is coming, but it's a great opportunity for us to disengage and to connect into the source. You're worthy. I'm grateful for you. I'll catch you on the flip side. Cheerio for now.